Fake HOA tried to take my son using bylaws. I'm a Navy SEAL, and they didn't survive the night. The night was quiet. The kind of quiet that makes every sound echo louder than it should. My son, Ethan, was asleep in his room, his favorite stuffed bear tucked under his arm. He was only 12, still young enough to be innocent, yet old enough to notice when the world turned cruel. That night, the cruelty came disguised as authority. A pounding knock rattled my front door, followed by harsh voices claiming to be with the Homeowners Association Enforcement Division. I knew instantly something was wrong. There was no such division, at least not one that carried itself like a paramilitary squad. I moved silently through the house, my Navy SEAL instincts kicking in, heart steady but senses sharp. Through the blinds I caught the glint of tactical vests, fake badges, and too many weapons for any supposed HOA matter. They weren't here about bylaws or fences. They were here for Ethan. I don't know how they targeted us, but one thing was clear, they believed they could use the HOA's obscure bylaws to seize custody of my boy, claiming I was unfit to raise him in this neighborhood. Their lies were as dangerous as their weapons. But what they didn't know was that my life had been built on surviving the impossible. I unlocked my old gun safe, retrieved the tools of my trade, and prepared for what was coming. But before the steel and fire, there was something deeper, the promise I'd made to my late wife. She had passed when Ethan was only 6, and in her final breaths she'd whispered, "Protect him, no matter what. He's all we have." That promise burned in me like a second heartbeat. When the men forced the door open, shouting legal nonsense wrapped in aggression, I was already waiting in the shadows. The first one who stepped inside never saw my fist coming. He went down hard, his fake badge clattering against the tile. The others froze, not expecting resistance from what they thought was just a single dad. But I wasn't just a father. I was a SEAL. The fight exploded. Flashlights sliced across the living room as I ducked low, using muscle memory from years of breaching rooms in hostile territory. They had numbers, but I had training. Every strike I made was precise, every movement calculated. A disarmed rifle slid across the floor, and I made sure it never returned to its owner's hands. Ethan woke during the chaos, his frightened voice echoing down the hall, "Dad?" That single word gave me more strength than 100 battles. I called back, "Stay in your room, son." My mission was crystal clear. The fake HOA squad tried to retreat, but I herded them like prey, driving them into the backyard where moonlight exposed their fear. One of them broke down, confessing they were hired by a corrupt HOA president who wanted my property, and saw my son as leverage. The thought made my blood boil. They had turned a neighborhood dispute into something vile and unforgivable. By the end of the night, none of them stood victorious. Some fled, limping into the dark. Others lay groaning, stripped of their weapons and masks of authority. I tied them with their own zip ties and called the sheriff. Real law enforcement, not imposters, showed up, and the scene spoke for itself. Ethan ran into my arms as the sirens faded. His small hands clung to me like he was never letting go. And I held him just as tightly, whispering that no one, no fake cop, no HOA, no threat, would ever take him from me. The fallout was ugly for the HOA. The president who orchestrated it all was exposed and arrested. Neighbors who had turned a blind eye suddenly realized what had nearly happened under their noses. And as for me, I learned something vital. My military training wasn't just for distant battlefields, it was for here, for home, for family. The message was clear. Strength isn't just about fists or tactics, it's about love, about keeping promises, about refusing to bend when the world tries to break you. That night, I didn't just fight off intruders. I honored my wife's memory, defended my son's future, and proved that family is worth every scar, every battle, every ounce of who you are. And Ethan? He saw his dad not just as a warrior, but as a father who would never stop fighting for him.